Okay, so a new One Punch Man chapter just dropped, and I don't even want to waste more time. I just want to get straight into it because a lot of stuff did happen in this chapter, and I feel like some people or a lot of people didn't expect what happened to happen in this chapter. But of course, let's just get into it now. This chapter pretty much starts off exactly where we left off in the last one, and Garou just goes in to punch Saitama through a portal, but we see that Saitama dodges, and Saitama then goes back up and goes through the portal and punches Garou as well. But then Garou then gets sent back into another portal, and Garou tries to ambush basically Saitama from behind. But we see that Garou then hits Saitama with a kick on his head, but Saitama responds like at the same time by punching Garou in his body. And we see that after this, Garou gets sent flying into the portal, and it seems that the kick hasn't done any damage to Saitama here. And we see that as Garou tries to do the same trick twice and go into the portal and ambush Saitama, Saitama jumps up onto like the flying rocks of Io into the air and pushes the rock back onto another cluster of rocks, and then just goes straight down at Garou, crushing the rocks behind him, and goes to pretty much karate chop like Garou on his head. And this panel kind of looks similar to how Garou like defeated Sage Centipede, which is also pretty cool here. And we see that as he goes down, there's like some like electric shocks around him or something. Maybe that's just for extra effect, but we see that then Saitama then begins to speak and completely overwhelms Garou once more. And we see that Garou then tries to go in to hit Saitama, but it seems as if this does even less damage than it normally did, or since like he is using serious punches here, I'm assuming it's not doing as much damage on Saitama as I guess it was implied to in the last chapter. And we get like a bit of an explanation for this. By the way, these are just the raws. I'm just going off what I'm seeing. There's no actual translations. I'll do like a separate video for translation as well. But we see that there's kind of like a graph showing that Saitama just keeps getting higher and higher, and it's getting to the point that Saitama has completely like outclassed Cosmic Garou. Like at first, Cosmic Garou could kind of rival Saitama a little bit, but it seems as though Saitama has completely like surpassed him, whilst even holding like Genos's core. And we see that Genos, or rather Garou, tries to goes through another portal and tries to hit Saitama, but Saitama blocks it even easier than before. And we see that Saitama doesn't even look too serious at this point. Like he seems pretty nonchalant, like regular Saitama. And we see that Saitama then begins to like yawn, and I think he's preparing to do a sneeze here, and I think this is like a serious series, like a serious sneeze. And we see that when he sneezes, like it causes like the rocks around Io to just like scatter, kind of like spread apart, and it goes straight like to the eye of Jupiter. And we see that once it hits the eye of Jupiter, at first there's like a first impact and it's not as big, but in the next panel we see that this like blows like half of Jupiter like straight off. I'm not too sure what this is showing, but I'm pretty sure this was like the eye of Jupiter that Saitama just did a serious sneeze into. And once again, this is another impressive feat from Saitama, and I will talk about this in like a separate video, but I just want to go over this chapter really quick. And we see that obviously this sneeze sends them backwards, I'm pretty sure, and they're heading towards Earth, and Garou sees this, or Garou can see Earth whilst they're like zooming away from Jupiter. And we see that Garou then quickly goes into I'm pretty sure this is a nuclear fission, just goes to straight and hits Saitama's face with it. And we see that Garou tries to escape, but as he's going towards Earth, Saitama just appears behind him, completely unfazed by his previous attack. And then he goes in to just punch Garou again. And we see that Garou tries to go into another portal, but Saitama just gets past this easily and punches Garou straight down into Earth. And we see that they are back on Earth now, and we see that whilst as Saitama punches Garou, like part of Garou's like face just cracks off, like the Saitama mode face like cracks off. I'm not too sure what this signifies, but I'm sure this signifies that like I'm guessing he can't use Saitama mode anymore. But we see that now Garou's face is like exposed, like he's no longer like the cosmic face, like his proper face, human face, is exposed now. And we see that Garou then looks to his side and he sees Tario lying face down on the floor. And we know that, I'm pretty sure we left Tario like this before, and I'm pretty sure it's because of his like radioactive energy or his cosmic energy. And I'm pretty sure Garou realizes this, and he runs away from Tario to like kind of protect him, since he is emitting cosmic energy and it's hurting him. But we see that obviously Saitama points this out and like Garou is like crying, I'm pretty sure, in this panel, and Garou like trips over, and we see Saitama then exchange some words with Garou. I'm pretty sure this is where like Garou turns into like a good guy. I'm not too sure if I should call him a good guy, but like this is where he kind of like gets a bit of redemption, and I'm pretty sure this is the end of the Saitama versus Garou fight, by the way. And we see that like as Garou is like looking down the sky, you know, we're getting some panels of the sky, and we see they exchange some more words, and I'm pretty sure this is like a pretty emotional moment for Garou, because we see that there's this panel that's similar to like when he faced off against Bang in his pre-awakened form, and we know that, you know, that was a pretty emotional moment. So I think that's another like parallel, I guess. I'm not too sure, but we then see that Saitama like kind of speaks to Garou, and Garou is like sitting down with his legs crossed, or he's just sitting down defeated. And we see that then Garou stands up and he's then talking to Saitama, and I'm pretty sure this is where like they, well, I'm gonna get onto this later, but it will make sense as we, you know, finish off this chapter. And we see Garou like go into a stance here, and he like, I'm pretty sure he's like taking out all of the energy inside of him, because Garou then begins to turn into dust here, and I'm not too sure what's going on, but we see a panel where like Garou and Saitama's like aura both being highlighted, and we see that there's like some scientific stuff going on, and I'm not too sure if this is, I'm pretty sure this is ions, maybe, I'm not too sure, atoms. And we see that inside of Garou's cells there's like positive and negative atoms, and we see that, or ions or whatever, like I don't know, I'm not a scientist. And we see that, I'm pretty sure Garou is like giving back Saitama his powers, or not giving back his power, but he's like giving back the moves he stole from Saitama, or he's rather relinquishing all of the moves he's stolen from even Blast, because as we see in the next panel, like Saitama is in like this weird space where he's seeing all the moves that Garou has stolen and used throughout like the fight. And then we see Saitama smile, and I'm sure this is implying that, you know, Garou has kind of like conceded, he's accepted his defeat here. And we see that then Saitama just like goes in to punch Garou once again, to, I think, just to pretty much just end off everything. And we see that as he does this, you know, Garou he gets sent flying, and like his shell begins to like completely crack, which I'm guessing it's suggesting that Garou is pretty much defeated here. And we see then Genos is, you know, he's seeing this, and the other heroes are also seeing this, like Bang and the other heroes that like previously got knocked out by the cosmic energy. And we see that Garou's face then begins to like not explode, but like begin to release like some sort of gas or something. And we see that his face then begins to light up, which I'm suggesting is like, I guess, all of the powers coming out. And then we see Saitama like get out of some rubble, and like Saitama then connects with another Saitama, like there's another Saitama jumping towards him, and they like both connect. So if I'm trying to use like the full percentage of power of my brain to try and comprehend what's going on here, because without English translations this is pretty difficult, but I was just too excited to make this video. I was too excited because this chapter was also pretty good. I'd also say this is another 10 out of 10 chapter, but we see that I'm guessing that Garou's like relinquishing of moves has kind of created like another like aura Saitama, and like they both connect to make like Saitama again. I'm not too sure, because there's all sorts of stuff going on here. But we then see Saitama like, I guess, kind of just wake up, or just kind of come to his senses, and we see that he looks down and like Genesis core is still in his hand. And then we see in the last panel that Genos just straight up charges at Saitama in a similar way he did to Garou. And I'm pretty sure this is more comedic. I don't think Genos is trying to hurt Saitama. Not that he can anyway, but yeah, that's pretty much where the chapter ends. And I feel like this chapter was, again, 10 out of 10 chapter. I will be going over like the other like specific stuff in another video. This was just trying to go over the chapter that just dropped, and I'd say this is once again another good chapter. If you like the video, make sure to leave a like and subscribe to the channel if you're new. Tell me what you thought about this chapter, but apart from that, I'll see you in my next video.